Just a quick disclaimer before this video starts. There is a bit of swearing towards the end. There are some spoilers for this movie as well, I guess, and it gets a bit emotional. So I just kind of wanted to put that warning first, because you'll see when you watch the video. You'll see. So this week in my reviewing classic movies, I put up a vote of two movies. I asked people to pick between The Deer Hunter and Saturday Night Fever. Now, there was a lot of votes casted. It was pretty even towards the end, but the main thing that people said was I should watch Saturday Night Fever because The Deer Hunter is a very emotionally heavy movie. So I watched Saturday Night Fever, and I can honestly say I am emotionally distressed after watching this movie. So yeah, Saturday Night Fever, John Travolta, 70s disco. I went into this movie thinking, it's about dance music. It's about dancing in the 70s. It's about all of this nonsense. I thought it was going to be a fun time. John Travolta, he wants to be a dancer. He's trying to be better. He goes to this nightclub every week. He just wants to dance. He has a part-time job in a paint store. His mum and dad are always riding him, because his older brother is a priest and they want better for him. So he just likes to go out every weekend with his friends. And that I could really relate to, in my late teens, early 20s, all I did every week at the end of a working week was go out with my friends, get drunk. Not so much the dancing aspect, because I'm not a dancer in the slightest, but that I could relate to. I just wanted to get to the end of the week so I could go out and have fun and be myself. And then after about 15-20 minutes of this movie, it took a sharp left turn. I was enjoying it. I could see John Travolta's character, Tony. He wanted to grow, he wanted to be a better person, and he thought that he could do that through his dancing. He wanted to move out of this kind of small town mentality and make something of himself. But yeah, that left turn, Jesus, I honestly don't even know how I'm going to tackle this, because with everything going on right now in the world, this movie was supposed to be light-hearted and was supposed to make me feel better, and this review was supposed to make the viewers feel better, and it really doesn't. There is a lot of racism in this movie. There is a lot of sexism in this movie. There is underlying tones of that throughout the whole story. I'm gonna try and do this as best as I can. It's New York in the 70s, so certain words are thrown around a lot in this movie. Now, I find that very awkward watching it as it is, but knowing that everything going on in the world right now, it makes it a lot more emotional. It hits home a lot harder. Now, obviously, I'm not I was going to say I'm not part of this. I am part. Everyone's part of what's going on right now. But I've not had to grow up in a world where that affects me directly. I see it, I hear it. It's everywhere that we go, and there's nothing else to say apart from it's horrible. And this movie the characters act a certain way, and one of the characters even gets a comeuppance, which is, you know, good, but at the same time, the way that he is taught a lesson is not right, because he was beaten up by the people that he was racist to. Now, I'm not condoning the racism, but I'm also not condoning the violence. You know, that there's so many different ways to go around this, and it's ridiculous the way people act, and how it is just it's so nonchalant in this movie. Like, they just kind of throw these words around and these actions, you know, as if it's nothing. And it's terrible. It really is terrible. It's like I said, this was supposed to be a light-hearted movie, and it was supposed to be, you know, it's supposed to be good, but it's just the movie in itself is good. Like the kind of main story that they're trying to tell, like I said, you know, this guy wants to move on and better himself, but the way they've told the story, the way they've got from A to B, let's say they're trying to get from A to C. They didn't have to go through B. They could have gone a different way. If that makes sense, I don't even know if that makes sense. But there's just, see, again, a classic movie that I've never seen before. I know kind of I knew parts of this movie because, you know, it's referenced everywhere. I knew the dancing. I knew that the Bee Gees, the soundtrack was, you know, incredible. I'm not a disco lover, but that music, you know, you can't help but sing along to it and maybe want to dance a little. But when you actually watch this movie, it's really emotionally draining. It's horrible. You know, if they kind of steered away, I know we have to kind of tackle these things. We have to kind of put them out there so that people know that this is happening, but people know it's happening. You know, I don't know how any of this really needed to be in this movie. It really did not. You know, it didn't tackle it in any way. It didn't sort of, no one really learned any lessons from this, and that's the main point, is no one learned. They should have learned a lesson from the way they was behaving, but that lesson never came. Even after this guy was beaten up, they were still making jokes about it afterwards. It's terrible. You know, they're still using the racial slurs. The sexism, oh, Jesus Christ, just as bad. You know, again, these are guys in their late teens. You know, they're 19. They're going out every week for the main reason they just want to get drunk and have fun and sleep with women in the back of their car. But spoiler alert, towards the end of this movie, that kind of gets really out of hand. There's one girl who's in love with the main character, John Travolta's Tony. She's besotted with him. She idolises him. Like a lot of women do in this movie because he's a good dancer. But she is like the main girl who is going after him throughout the whole course of this movie, and he keeps pushing her away. He's like, I'm not interested. You know, you're a good dancer and we can dance together, but I'm not interested in you in this way. He then finds another girl who is a better dancer and he wants to go off and dance with her. He starts falling for her, so he pushes this other character out of the way. Her name's Annette. He pushes Annette out of the way. So Annette, you know, she decides that to get back at him in the best way is to sleep with one of his friends. This is in the very last part of this movie. You know, John Travolta goes and he wins the dance contest that they've been practicing for. You know, I'm reviewing this movie. I'm not even talking about the main part of this movie, which is supposed to be the dancing, but it's not. That's got nothing to do with any of this. You know, he goes off, he wins the dance competition, and he's not even happy that he won the contest, because there was some other contestants that are better dancers than they are. I believe they were Spanish. They were much better dancers, and even during this moment of the movie, I thought they were really good dancers. They're so much better than him, and he actually comes to that realization. But he still wins the dance competition because of that error. No one wanted the Spanish people to win the contest because it, you know, racism. So they give the prize to John Travolta's character, and he comes to this realization that no, they were better than us. They should have won. So he goes and gives them the prize money. They get outside. He goes outside with his new dance partner. He gets into the back of the car. she's like, you know, why did you do that? Why did you give my prize money away? And he tries to rape her because that's the way he wants to get out of this situation. You know, he is a stud. He wants to get what he wants, and she wasn't giving it up lightly, so he tries to rape her. She pushes him away, quite rightly so. She gets out of the car. Annette, the lady that's besotted with him, she comes strolling along with his friends, you know, arm in arm with one of them. They all get in the car to drive off. 3 of the guys are in the front seat, and in the back seat is Annette and one of the other guys. He pretty much rapes her. I'll say pretty much because they were having consensual sex, and then she starts getting upset. And then one of the other guys gets out the front of the car, gets in the back, and then it's his turn. And he actually rapes her. And it is excruciating. It's so... You could see the look on her face. She is terrified. She is crying. It is a horrible watch. You know, all throughout this movie, she just wants to... Essentially, she just wants love from Tony, but she ends up getting raped by his friends. And it's horrible. It's really just excruciating. And then after this, they stop off at a bridge because during part of this movie, they stop off on a bridge, and they like to climb up on the side of this bridge because, you know, it's an adrenaline rush, I guess. One of Tony's other friends, who turns out he got a girl pregnant, he's having a bit of a tough time with it, so he keeps trying to talk to Tony, and Tony keeps pushing him away because he's more interested in the dancing. And yeah, this guy, he's having a pretty extreme mental breakdown, and he climbs up on the side of the bridge trying to show how tough he is, and he falls and he dies. And then Tony kind of again comes to a realization, like, you know, this life is not good. I don't want to live this life anymore. I want to go off and, you know, make something better of myself. So he decides to move out of the city and go find his new dance partner because she lives out of town, and he wants to go and move over there and, you know, start a new life with the girl he just tried to rape. I don't know. Alright, this... I'm trying so hard not to swear, but it's just so different. This movie is... Again, like I said, it was supposed to be light-hearted. I assumed it was going to be light-hearted. I assumed it was going to be all disco dancing and, you know, and hair and suits and stuff. But this is... There is so much wrong with this movie. None of this... Again, none of this needed to be in this movie. None of this needed to be included. This movie could have serviced enough just by being about a dance competition. You're going to have conflict in a movie, I get that. You know, you're going to have heartbreak and emotions in a movie. But this is like, you know, look at Dirty Dancing. That's about dancing, and it doesn't tackle half of this. I know, I'm pretty sure someone in that gets pregnant, but Jesus Christ, it's... And that was set earlier, and I don't think there's any racism in that movie. That it didn't need to be involved, you know. It's just... People need to realise that what is going on right now is important, and that people need to learn these lessons, that this is not good in any way, shape or form. I did not want to review this movie. I got halfway through this movie and I was having a mental breakdown because I did not know what to do. I don't know how to tackle this because there's, you know, I don't know what to say. It's just, people need to just get along. Parts of this movie are good, but there's more bad about this movie than there is good, and I can't say that Saturday Night Fever is a good movie because it's not. It's supposed to be a classic. You know, this is the movie that everyone looks at that made John Travolta's career. He's good in it. He's great in it. But it's just, there is too much going on in this movie for me to recommend it and say that it's a good movie and that it can be enjoyed, because it can't. There's just too much going on. There's too much wrong with this movie. I'm sorry that this is the worst movie review that I've ever done, and I like to look at all movies, good and bad, and see the positives in it, but I just can't with this movie. I didn't want to review it, but I had people telling me just do it. You know, this is what people need to see and need to hear, that this is not right. I'm not even going to do my usual spiel. You know, I can't see how anyone would enjoy this video and the way that I've reviewed this movie. It is fucking. I apologise for the swearing, but it's fucking terrible. It's a fucking stupid movie, and I hate it. I actually hate it. It's actually made me very upset. That's all I've got to say. I can't say anything other than that. I'm sorry. I guess I'll speak to you again next week. Goodbye.